Page 4, the odd couple. Key of F major. One flat throughout. Yeah, you got all that. Okay. Let's talk about the right hand. At the beginning, you got these thirds. Just a light wrist staccato here. That may take some time, but you need to develop the skill to be able to do this, because this is a pretty common pattern. Third measure, still staccato. And then the last measure, it's not. Now, watch this rhythm. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Second line, first measure, or measure 5. That 5 with a box around it's a measure number. So it's 1 and 2 and. And it's important that you do the and on the and. Do the and then up, next measure. Then up. Third line, first measure, same rhythm. 1 and 2 and. Watch the accents on the second measure of the third line. Now if you don't want to put a thumb on that black key, you can do here 1-4 on the CE and then a 2-3 on that. I'll leave that up to you. Going on. And they're saying fourth finger. It's okay. But you can do third finger there, but you need little finger on the G is what they're after. That's really what you need. So it doesn't matter if you use fourth or third finger on that F again. You almost have to put the thumb on that. If you want to use some other fingering, I'll leave that up to you, but I'm not going to encourage it. I'm going to do 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 5. And then last line, be natural. And second finger, you got to come up. You can have a little break in the sound there if you need it, because it's a very little and the piece goes fairly, it says moderato, but to me it's faster than that. But so a little break in the sound between the chord and the F is okay. We do not want to break in the sound between these eighth notes and the next measure. That all has to be connected. So then third measure, 1, 2, 4. Watch the fingering. 2, 1. It's a triplet. 1 and a 2 and a 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. Lots of staccatos, and they're all important. Well, okay. Then you get a bunch more of the same stuff on page 5. Let's go down to the fourth line on page 5. Here. Similar to what you had on the last line on page 4, it's the first measure, except they put in a triplet. Here I'm recommending a 3 on the F and then a thumb. To me that's more, I mean it's easy. They're using the 2, the same fingering they used before, but it just, with the triplet involved, it's just easier for me to go ahead and use the third finger here and bring the thumb under. Like so. Next measure on the A is a 2, 1, 4. So you come on down. The last measure of that line, the chord is a G, B flat, F. Good luck getting there. Now last chord on the last measure, that is an A, a C, and an F. Staccato, accented. Yeah. Left hand has to stay soft throughout this whole thing. It's just supporting. It's here at the beginning. And then you have a couple staccatos there in the third measure. But only those. There's nothing else in the first line for left hand that's staccato. Second line, staccato. That's an important distinction between those. Don't play them all staccato, just the eighth notes. Watch the fingering. You're moving around some, huh? The third measure, second line, the eighth notes, it's a C and an E, 2 and a 1. So you can do a 3 and the 1 on the next measure. You're basically here. Next line is similar to that. I think you can handle that. Last line on page 4. Rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So careful with the rhythm. They switch it up a little bit. Top of page 5, left hand. 1 and 2 and 3. So 1 and 2. Then you had all of this before. We get down to the last line. There's no big deal. You're playing it. You came off of a C. The last note in the fourth line there on page 5 is a C. And so you're playing that F in the last line with a 2. And they're saying, go ahead and put fifth finger on it. You have plenty of time. So somewhere in there, you can put fifth finger. If you want to go through the other fingers to get there, that's okay. I mean, how you get there is important. What you can do is, rather than using second finger, you can go ahead and use third finger. Reach up a little bit, and that way you're a little closer to fifth finger to substitute. But somehow you gotta get fifth finger on it. For me, it's actually easier if I go from a thumb to fifth finger. For some reason, I can scrunch my hand up and get there. If I do that, then I'm going to put thumb on that F, because I can do that fairly quickly. It doesn't matter which finger you use to play the F. You've got to get fifth finger on it. So it's up to you as to which finger you, and then work out the substitution. And then here, and then in the last measure, it's an F chord. Staccato. Accented. Yeah. So when you go to put the hands together, it's a whole new adventure. Go slow. With the metronome if you have to. Just go slow. It's here. So go slow through the whole thing. So I was tempted to give you a demo on this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it very slowly so you can kind of get it, because there's some tricky things in here. It's not necessarily a play with me. It's sort of a hybrid between play with me and demo. It's whatever. I'm not going to use a metronome. I'm just going to go slow. Now there is a note at the top. You see the moderato, and next to it are 2/8 notes equal a triplet. Basically what they're telling you to do in their own way is to swing the eighth notes, and that's normal. So it's not exactly a triplet. You just feel this. Instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and just do the whole thing that way. But forget all that. Well, you can go ahead and swing the eighth notes, just don't go that fast. Take your time and learn this slowly and gradually build it up. If you skip the slow part and go straight to the fast part, believe me, it'll sound okay to you, but record yourself and you'll hear what it'll sound to other people. It's math. Watch out on the bottom of page 4. Left hand, last line. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So the notes keep changing. So they're not necessarily octaves. So watch out on that. Now a little bit about interpretation. You can have fun with this. Just get to know it first, and then you can make it your own. This pattern at the beginning in the right hand, kind of setting the tone for the whole piece. It's not really part of the song, it's sort of an introduction. The song starts where the words are. And the melody starts with the 8th note A in the left hand. There. So that has to be as loud as melody. If you can, you bring out the melody. And then you got to be soft. And then like the second measure, the second line, bring that down a little bit. It's sort of an it's not part of the melody now. This is sort of an interlude. It's sort of an echo, an afterthought sort of thingy. So bring it down a little. And then the 8th note, the end of the second measure, the second line, that's melody again. So bring it out. And the second measure, this third line, again, bring that down. So softer. Not saying real soft, I'm just saying softer because they put in a couple of accents there. They don't have to be heavy accents, just if you can, bring out the melody in the right hand, the third measure of the third line there. If you can, don't worry about it, do the best you can, but it helps if you can bring it out. So adjust your dynamics here between the, when there's words and you're singing it, and when there's not words, you can come back a little bit and play a little softer on some of those measures. And you feel this dynamics, but you got to get to know it first. The last line. And then you're soft, and then accent loud. Hi there. So you got to get past the idea where you're just struggling with notes, because when as long as you're just playing notes, it's not music. It's blah. It's mechanical. Let a computer do it for you. Once you get to know it and you can start feeling it and you can start getting into the dynamics and raising and lowering and feeling these things, that turns it into music, and that's really what you're after. There's a little bit of pedal shown here over on page 5. I don't understand why. It's totally unnecessary. I'm not going to use pedal on this, and if you want to use pedal, it's up to you, but it's just not necessary. Don't let the pedal cover up the staccatos, because if you look at the end, the last measure, or the last line, first measure, they're showing that pedal, there as I can tell, pretty much for at least the first couple of beats. If you do that, you're covering up your staccatos. Don't. This is what it would sound like. Slowly, very slowly. Here, I'm here. Okay. This way. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and.